Well, hello friends, and welcome to this Crystal and Clear Cheat Day review, as today we are trying Crystal Pepsi. Yeah! I am so excited right now because it's not every day that you get to drink a bottle of Crystal Pepsi, let alone a fresh bottle. Now, bear in mind, this is as fresh as this came out last year in 2022, so this is the closest thing that you could get to a fresh bottle, as this was the final release of Crystal Pepsi for now. In Canada, this came out. So first you want to know, what is Crystal Pepsi exactly? Well, Crystal Pepsi was originally a clear alternative to regular Pepsi, which also had no additives, had no caffeine, and it was supposed to be like a crisper cola that someone could drink during a hot summer's day, or almost as if it's a sports drink when you're running or whatever. And it was supposed to chill you out and refresh you far more than a regular brown cola could. Now, through some of the awkward commercials that they put out back in the day, a lot of people had mixed signals as to what Crystal Pepsi was. Most people just thought it was Pepsi that was clear, and that was it. But if you're a big nerd and you've looked into the vast spectrum of cola, you have Coca-Cola here, Pepsi here, Crystal Pepsi could be here. There's so many different types of colas out there that you could have. Some refreshing, some very sugary. So technically, Crystal Pepsi could exist on the spectrum of colas, but to the general public, there's only Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Now, why this was made in the first place is that in the late 80s, early 90s, the clear craze was everywhere. You had Zima, which was a clear beer. You also had Miller clear beer as well. So everything in the 80s and 90s was all about leaving out impurities and keeping everything clean and pure. And, Pepsi jumped into the game. So in April of 1992, Pepsi started test marketing Crystal Pepsi, and it was highly successful to the point where Crystal Pepsi was going to be sent out on a national scale by December of 1992. So that was the official national release, December 1992. And at that time also, there was a diet version of Crystal Pepsi that came out. Now, Coca-Cola had an idea of what Pepsi was up to, and they decided to create something with their Tab soda brand to kind of kamikaze and stir things up and confuse consumers, thinking that all clear colas were diet sodas, which this was not a diet soda. This was a diet soda. But Tab from Coca-Cola was a diet soda, so that's when Coca-Cola made Tab Clear, and they started stocking Tab Clear right next to Crystal Pepsi. So anybody walking in the grocery store would look at Crystal Pepsi right next to Tab. They would associate Crystal Pepsi with Tab, thinking, oh, it's all diet stuff, which, diet soda is a very small margin of sales compared to regular soda. So they decided, I don't know, I'm not going to touch clear cola at all. I'm just going to buy the regular stuff. So it really hurt sales of Crystal Pepsi when Coca-Cola put this out. So by the end of 1993, Crystal Pepsi was basically dead in the water. But Pepsi decided to revive the Crystal name and brand and put out this in 1994, which was Crystal from Pepsi, which this was Crystal Pepsi, but it just had a citrus taste added to it. So Pepsi thought maybe they could make things happen by making it taste a little lemon limey, but it failed so much worse than original Crystal Pepsi. So by the end of 1994, all of Crystal Pepsi in the United States and Canada was gone. Now, as I've looked into the history of all different types of sodas, I've noticed a trend of whenever a soda is discontinued in the United States, it kind of gets a second life outside in other countries. So Crystal Pepsi went to live on for a little bit longer in the 90s in Spain and in Germany from 1994 all the way up to 1996. So as you see, here is a can from Germany, and here is a Spanish Crystal Pepsi can. Now, by the end of 1996, Crystal Pepsi was, gone everywhere, off the shelves all over the world. Until 2005, the holiday season in Mexico, Pepsi put out Pepsi Clear, which is basically Crystal Pepsi, just under a different name. This was out only for a limited time in the holiday season of 2005. Now, 10 years later, in 2015, a YouTuber by the name of LA Beast loved Crystal Pepsi. He drank an old bottle from the 90s and wound up just upchucking it onto his table. And this video kicked off his pursuit to revive Crystal Pepsi. And he actually did make it happen. So because of LA Beast and the Bring Back Crystal Pepsi movement, Pepsi decided to bring back Crystal Pepsi, but through their Pepsi Points program, where you had to put in your points to be entered into a sweepstakes in order for you to have a chance to win a 6-pack of limited edition Crystal Pepsi bottles. So these are the limited edition Crystal Pepsi re-release that first came out, -1. Yeah, they were a bit smaller than your usual 20 ounce. So after that 2015 limited run, Pepsi decided to bring back Crystal Pepsi in 2016 during the summertime, and it was nationwide in the United States and Canada, and here is a bottle from 2016. And from then on, 2017, 2018, they re-released Crystal Pepsi again and again. 2019, we did not see a release of Crystal Pepsi in the United States. But Canada did, and this release had the special blue cap on top instead of the white. People were expecting Crystal Pepsi to come back in 2020, but that didn't happen. The only thing that was Crystal Pepsi oriented was they were doing a giveaway of an engagement ring that had Crystal Pepsi infused with the diamond that was in this ring. I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know if anybody ever won the diamond or whatever, but it wasn't Crystal Pepsi, and people were just kind of like, ugh. 2021, there were some rumblings that Crystal Pepsi was coming back in 2022 for its 30th anniversary. And it did happen, as they did make these 30th anniversary clear-looking label Crystal Pepsi bottles, and these bottles were given away as 6-packs to 300 lucky winners for Sweepstakes on Twitter, and thus making these bottles quite rare. I'm sure you could still find some on eBay, but you're probably going to pay about 40 bucks for one of these. Now, it was rumored and pretty much confirmed that by the summer of 2022, Crystal Pepsi, along with a new Crystal Pepsi Zero Sugar, was going to be dropping in the United States and Canada. But something happened where those plans just basically got axed. And the only release that happened besides that 30th anniversary giveaway was this version from Canada. It's now 2023, and there's no sight of Crystal Pepsi being re-released this year or in the future. So this is the best shot I have to drink a Crystal Pepsi and do a very thorough review as it's still somewhat fresh. Now, growing up in the 90s, I do remember tasting the legit Crystal Pepsi, and there have been some changes from the 90s version to this version. The biggest thing is that the new re-release versions from 2015 on up contain caffeine. Now, the best product description that I could give you of Crystal Pepsi, at least back in the 1990s, is what's written right here on the bottle. So, it says, Crystal Pepsi, you've never seen a taste like this. Right now, there's a new taste loose on the planet. A completely different kind of soft drink with a unique cola flavor. Absolutely clear, wonderfully refreshing. It's everything you want and nothing you'd expect. What you get is purely the best. All natural flavors, no preservatives, no caffeine, and no artificial colors. So there you go, Crystal Pepsi, everybody. All right, so I've been sitting here waving this around long enough. Let's try some Crystal Pepsi. It smells just like original Pepsi. All right, here we go. Crystal Pepsi. Oh my God. it tastes just like regular Pepsi. It's nuts. Mmm. Ah, that is so good. Mmm. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? There is a reason why I have such a huge Crystal Pepsi collection. It's because this is just nectar of the gods. I'm going to save a little bit for later. Cap this off. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. There is a reason why this is my favorite soda of all time. Drinking this, it brought me right back to 1993. Standing on the pebble floor of my dad's garage and trying it for the first time. And hitting my lips and thinking, this is Pepsi, but it tastes more full. Why is it doing this? So I'm going to take you through the motions when you drink this. When it hits your tongue, you are hit with a refreshing, clean taste. Not a sugary taste, not a carbonated taste that just tingles on your tongue. It is just a refreshing, clean taste that hits your tongue first. Second, you get a big splash of that authentic Pepsi taste. It's that smooth, fruity cola taste that we all know and love. And then this soda finishes off with just a nice simmer down. Like it mellows out, but it like soaks into your tongue to the point where you're just like, yeah, it leaves a long-lasting Pepsi taste, but it doesn't like tingle on your tongue or leave some kind of sticky cola taste that you would get from Coke or Pepsi or whatever. Now, I don't know what it is, maybe less of stuff added to it, but this tastes like a thicker and fuller kind of cola. And for this soda being almost a year old, it held up very well with its carbonation, and it tastes exactly like it should, and it definitely hit the spot. This is basically a time machine. Took me back to 1993, and if I could only tell myself, invest in Google when it comes out. Just tell your dad, invest in Google. Would I recommend Crystal Pepsi? Oh yeah, 100%. You bet. You bet I'd recommend this Crystal Pepsi. Anybody that drinks soda needs to try Crystal Pepsi. Now, it's kind of hard to do that because everything is discontinued now, but just wait for the next re-release. Hope it happens soon enough, and definitely pick up a bottle or two or 18 or 300 if you're me. So I'm easily going to give Crystal Pepsi a 10 out of 10, but if I break the scales, I'd give it a 20 out of 10. It's a famous soda, it's an infamous soda, it's a legendary soda, and it's my favorite soda and always will be till the end of time. That may sound biased because, I just have this tied to my childhood. But no, if something from my childhood is good and it's still good to this day, I'm going to like it. It's going to be my favorite thing. There's a lot of things from my childhood I didn't like, and I would rate it a 0 out of 10. But this isn't one of them. So, Crystal Pepsi, I give it a 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10. And that is it for this cheat day review. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time as maybe we will try this bottle of Tab Clear and see how great this is. No, probably not. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm DJ Glowing Ice, always wanting to remind you that it's okay to cheat every once in a while. See you next time.